And I guess we kind of are referencing the segment that we were talking about in the past as if we think the Bears don't go. Like, do the Bears really have the quarter balls to not go quarterback in round one? And, I think that at this point, it just might be out of their control. And if they don't go quarterback, do you think they're like, do you think, like, who do you think it is then? Like, would they draft an offensive lineman? If they draft an offensive lineman, while I get we need offensive line, it's kind of going to be like a meh pick. Like, I have a feeling that if they don't go quarterback, yeah, like, I think it's the easy pick. But at that point, when you're going into a season with Andy Dalton as your starting quarterback, you almost need to add a little bit of flair on whatever pick you get in the first round. Something to sell.
Falling into the Raiders trap, bro. Yeah. You're falling into the Raiders trap where they're like, you know what sounds good this year? Another wide receiver. Who's the fastest one? We'll take him. I mean, literally. But I agree with you.
Imagine
Andy Dalton needs all the help he can get, but I also believe that starts with the offensive line too. Because trust me, this season can be a real. Once again, almost want them to lose so that they can eventually get a good first-round quarterback. But
the quarterbacks in 2022 are pretty good too.
From a watching standpoint for next year, it's going to be painful to watch if Andy Dalton is getting continually sacked because he's not very mobile and this team still did basically nothing to the offensive line. So that's just what I'll say.
Do you think there's any chance they go defense? Because here's the thing: is like, while I think that fans would be furious because we had an elite defense at one point, it didn't really yield us the best results, and I think that we still have a really good defense, and I think we have a lot of young players blooming. But I think there's a possibility with the way that these quarterbacks are going to go off the board that we could be sitting there and a guy like Jalen Waddle might fall at wide receiver for the Bears. Or maybe even a guy like Micah Parsons from Penn State, who is just an insane athlete, but he's a defensive player. I think that playmaker could be on the board there. I think that they could be trying to replicate that Dallas Cowboys strategy where they just keep adding weapons. And honestly, while I agree that...
How's that working for them boys?
Well, I mean, they had Andy Dalton at quarterback last year, so...
Yeah, exactly. Case in point, huh? But honestly, if they draft a defensive player like in this first round, I'm just be like, literally, I think Ryan Pace is just scared to draft offense. Like he's like, my comfort zone is defense, and I'm sticking with it.
He's like, we are done playing offense. Period. We're gonna have Khalil Mack throwing our passes next year. That's
Wildcat with Khalil Mack is the person under center.
Imagine Khalil Mack just goes out there and throws like 40 touchdowns. Wouldn't surprise me.
Quarterback issue solved.
Yeah, right. Right. All right, guys, really quickly before we continue with the show, we have to let you know that this podcast is supported by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels, and they obsess over their technology developments. They're trusted by over 2 million men worldwide, and we have an exclusive offer code for our listeners, 20% off plus free shipping using code BEARNECESSITIES, no space, at manscaped.com. Manscaped sent both Reese and I over a bunch of their tools and formulations from their Perfect Package 3.0. And guys, Manscaped is a great company. They wanted us to wait until we try the products to give you guys our honest opinion. And it is a very good product. They have no-nick technology and a little LED light, which helps you get the job done a little bit easier. Both Reese and I have really enjoyed the Lawnmower 3.0 so far, and we're looking forward to trying a lot of their other products. The underwear that they sent us in the box too has been spectacular, and if you guys are into athletics or go to the gym frequently, highly recommend those as well. And guys, really quickly, if you use the same razor on your face as below the waist, guys, that's a little bit nasty. Try to pick up something specifically engineered for that below the waist region with the Lawnmower 3.0. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code BareNecessities at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping using code BareNecessities at manscaped.com. Make sure you check how to spell that in the description. That's going to support the podcast tremendously. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. But God, I mean, I would be, if there's a good offensive line, here's the real play. Here's the real play, and I think that the Dolphins might have already understood this. I think the Dolphins could still get Penei Sewell, like at where they just traded down to. And I think that's the player they were going to draft anyway at 3, right? I really believe that they are probably going to go with that pick because he's just such an insane athlete at that position, and he does have a good amount of polish. But if they don't, the Bears trading up for Penei Sewell would be a move. That'd be a pretty good move.
Yeah, no, I like Penei Sewell a lot, and if that works out for the Dolphins, that was magical. Like if they were able to move down, get all that capital, and get the player that they wanted, and someone that I think is going to be a great ad for whatever team that he ends up on, which includes the Bears if they traded up for him, would be great. I do think that. Sometimes it can be tough to kind of gauge if they're like going to be like that franchise tackle or whatever. So I'm not going to stick that label on him, but definitely seems like someone who could be around in the league for a very solid number of years.
And here's the thing with the Bears, I almost wouldn't be too upset if they don't find a quarterback if they actually trade out of the first round. And one thing that I would look at is maybe the Jacksonville Jaguars and getting one of their top second round picks, because I can tell you right now, the value difference between the players in between kind of like 17 to 32 in the first round and the high second round picks at like in this draft is like nothing. So they might be able to trade back into the second round and pick up a first round pick for next year. And then they'll have 2 first-round picks. If they're not drafting a quarterback, they can use that to package it to maybe get up higher in the draft to get a quarterback next year. If we can't get that quarterback, I wouldn't be too upset about that because I really think the real value in this draft is high second round.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Imagine
high second
adding
round
like
is a money.
Travis Etienne, like in the top of the second. That'd be a pretty nice pickup.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that second round is sometimes there's a few like bad picks made there just off like people that were really kind of have like a lot of speculative potential that don't end up working out. But at the same time, I mean, Jalen Johnson wasn't necessarily a high second round, but kind of look at where the Bears were picking last year in the second round and kind of the quality of players that they got out of there. Worked out pretty well for him. And at least for the track record that Pace has drafting in the first round, you couldn't be too mad if they ended up trading down out of it. Just be like, okay, he spared us a wasted pick, I guess.
It's funny. I have a buddy of mine out here in LA, and he's a Bears fan as well. And he is like legitimately convinced that the Bears should just take their first round pick and turn it into as many third and fourth round picks as possible. And he's like look at the way Ryan Pace is hitting on these third and fourth round guys, fifth round guys. You might as well pick up 10 of those for your first round pick and just go at it. And at this point, I don't even have a valid argument to make with him because I'm like, he's right. All of Ryan Pace's like third and fourth round picks have been better than his first round picks, with the exception of Kevin White. Or sorry, not Kevin White. Jeez, with the exception of Roquan. Yeah, but
Kevin White's like the case in point.
Yeah, case in point, Kevin White.